So this past week, I've had a lot of encounters with staff. Very, confrontational, I would say. And it seems like the gist of it is whether or not I would say a person has the ability to make decisions. So first of all, last week it was about whether a patient had the ability to make financial decisions. And I said, I don't know how to judge that. And social worker said, oh, it's okay. Let me give you some courses online I found. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. Because the thing is, even the hospital, right? We often sort of say we're all powerful and sort of many times what the doctor says goes. We don't have the ability to determine whether or not somebody is competent. That's what a judge determines. That's something done in a court. And I don't know if they determine it well or not, but that's the way it's set up. Financial capacity, the ability to make financial decisions, that's something altogether different from the medical field. So oftentimes psychiatry will talk about whether a person has the ability to make good medical decisions. I don't know about good, but make their own medical decisions. And sometimes they take it away, sometimes they take people to court, etc. But that has nothing to do with their finances. So this week it was about patients making bad decisions, wanting to go home when it's unsafe. And so first of all, it's like, well, good or bad decision, does that actually mean anything to whether or not you have the ability or the right to make your own decisions? People could have bad or poor decision making skills and make a quote good decision or a bad decision. The gist of it for me is, even though I'm a doctor, I don't tell people what to do. I give them choices. I'm their guide. And that's why this morning I spent an awful lot of time talking about blood transfusions. It's something routinely done. But just because something is routinely done doesn't mean, first off, it's the right thing, and doesn't mean, second thing, it has no risk. For example, we routinely drive and we don't think about it, but driving a car is actually quite dangerous. Everybody always quotes the statistic it's more dangerous than flying a plane, even though we don't think about it. Go to other countries where they ride motorbikes around or they walk. They say in China that the most dangerous place to be is a pedestrian. And if you look at how they drive, yeah, that's pretty true. But the thing is, it's not like people don't walk in China, not like people don't ride motorbikes in Southeast Asia. They do. It just is life. You just do it. So whether or not decisions are dangerous or not, that doesn't mean that it's a good or bad decision. Whether or not somebody, a third party, views it as a good or bad decision, doesn't mean it's a good or bad decision. I think there's only one way to know whether it's a good or bad decision, and that's in hindsight. If it accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. But we can't know that. So how do we know it's a good or bad decision? I think we can't. And that's why I believe giving patients the ability to make decisions. Because they have to own it. It's their decision. I could give them all the input I can, all the advice, suggestions, this or that. But I'm not going to tell them, you got to do this. This is good for you. Because I literally don't know. In terms of blood transfusions, I could tell them, first of all, I think it's probably not going to make you feel better. Because I've seen blood given countless times and it doesn't perk you up like they say it does. Maybe once or twice, in hundreds of times. But in those scenarios are sort of very obvious. It's when somebody has lost a lot of blood all of a sudden. But these people did not lose their blood all of a sudden. They lost it over a few days, which is relatively slow. And the body has many adaptive mechanisms. And actually, when you have a lower blood count, your blood may flow more smoothly, and actually it may be okay. It's very complicated. And the thing is, it's not that there's no risk. There's low risk, which is not the same as no risk. I don't think that any reasonable person would accept this when the pilot says, oh yeah, there's no risk when you fly with me. Well, there's low risk, but he can't guarantee that you'll be safe. And if you say, well, so you're saying that it's impossible for us to sort of have an incident midair and the plane's going to crash? He says, no, it's impossible. Like, yeah, there's not really anything impossible. It happens. We see it in the news. It's not hidden from us that we know planes crash every now and then. We know it's a very rare occurrence. We try not to let it happen, but it happens to the best of us. And so that's why I feel these decisions are important to give to the patient. And so it comes back to this idea of whether patients are decisional, whether or not they have the capacity to make a decision, including a bad decision. And many times the nursing staff, the case manager will get on my case because they want me to say, no, the person can't make a decision. They got to go to the nursing home or this or that. And I often refuse to do that. I basically always refuse, but sometimes I do discuss it with the patient and I say they can't. But it's very rare because my thought is this. So, for example, if you were to tell me that, it's bad to sort of, eat mud because I'm hungry, what is the other option? You could go drink from that dirty stream over there. It's like, okay, what a great alternative. You didn't give me a good alternative. And many times we talk about sending patients to nursing homes, and when I was doing pediatrics, they often take parents and kids and they separate them because they say parents can't take care of the kids. It's not necessarily outright abuse, but sometimes it's neglect or they think the parents are too stupid, etc. And where do you put the kids? Well, if you're going to take them and put them in a great home, I'm for that. But unfortunately, many times you actually have no place for the kids. So what happens to them? They go into the system. They get put onto a group home, basically a huge farm for kids. They may get a foster family. Apparently, many foster parents do this for money, and they don't actually love their kids, and they probably have too many kids that they can't take care of. Yeah. Are there checks and balances? Well, supposedly, but not really in practice. You talk about people in adolescence who are having troubles with their identity. They do things like anorexia or bulimia where they starve themselves because this is something they have control over. And you force feed them and say they have to gain weight. And it's because they're under 18, so you can do whatever you want. But when they're over 18, you can't. So you take advantage of the opportunity that before they're 18. So all of a sudden, from 17 to 18, you magically have the ability to make decisions? No, I don't think it changes that way. Decision-making capacity or capability is not something that is determined by age. Old people may not have it, young people may have it. But it's very hard to determine. However, yesterday I got a call from a palliative care doctor who was consulted about a patient who was doing poorly, kept on choking on his water, but he refused to get speech therapy involved, refused to change anything about the way he lived, didn't take his medications. First of all, you know that half our patients don't take their medications. That's actually a fact. Anyway, so palliative care called me and they were very simple, short, and sweet and said, oh, he's decisional. And that settled it. People accepted. We talked to the experts. We'll get him home. Well, the question is, how did they come about deciding that? Well, his wishes are consistent with his beliefs. Like, okay. I was taught that when you talk to somebody about capacity, you see if they understand the consequences of their actions. Like you ask a guy, I know you say you want to go home, but do you know what could happen that's bad when you go home? My patient this morning didn't want to answer. But anyways, yeah, he finally answered. He said, yeah, you guys keep thinking I'm going to fall and get injured and, I can't rescue myself. All very true. Does he believe it? No, but he understands it, and that's good enough. Because the thing is, whether you believe things or not, I don't think that's actually, we can't judge. Because there's many things that are possibilities that people don't actually believe in. And they're shocked when it happens. Like the fact that most Americans have, a month or less of money saved up in case they lose their job. But I don't think many of them realize they could just lose their job like that. And about consistency, we're all inconsistent. We're hypocrites. That's what we are. We often make decisions that are inconsistent with our values. Does that mean that we should be prevented from getting that snack or indulging on that chocolate chip or eating a whole pint of ice cream at the end of a long day? I don't think anybody says that.